Today, let's talk about the snare drum, named because of these wires that are on the bottom of the drum. They are snare wires. Much like most of our drums, the snare drum works because we hit this top head, which is our batter head. It causes this bottom head, which is the resonant head, to vibrate. And on the snare drum, the vibrations of the resonant head also causes these snares to vibrate. And so that vibration is what gives us the unique sound of the snare drum. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes to maintain our snare drum and some things that we should be looking for when it comes to maintaining our snare drum. So the first thing we would want to look for is to make sure that all of our lugs on our snare drum are nice and tight. You can tune it tighter or looser depending on what you like, but you want to make sure that none of them are loose on both sides. The other thing we also want to make sure is that our snare wires are nice and tight to the resonant head. So typically snares are either going to come with these bands that you may have on the snare drum to hold up, or they could come with wires that are attaching the snares to the drum. And so we want to make sure that those wires are pulled nice and tight to the drum. If we need to adjust, typically we can adjust these screws. We can loosen them up, pull tight, and we'll pull the snares in. And we can do that on either side, that we can pull them tight and pull the snares in. Now, the snare wires or strainer also has this throw off switch, this mechanism that is used to make a small adjustment to where the snare wires sit. So we can twist it. Usually if we twist it to the left, that will loosen the snare wire. And you see that gives us a different sound. Whereas if we tighten it up, we get a much tighter sound that you're probably used to hearing in most of the music. You're going to hear a nice tight sound. This knob comes into play when we want to, say, put those snares back up and make sure they're tight. We would want to loosen this knob just a little bit, probably about halfway, prior to turning the drum over and pulling the wires tight and tighten them up. And then once we have them tight, we can tighten it back up, get everything nice and tight. Now, one last thing as well over here with the throw off is the actual throw off mechanism that can temporarily turn the snares off or remove them from contact with the resonant head. You can hear this sound here as well of what it sounds like. You just get the resonant drum without the snares, and then we just flip it back on and we get the sound as we're used to hearing it. So that's a little bit about the snare drum, things that we can do to maintain it, and how we can get some different sounds out of a single drum.